Hi, Jennifer from Astra and Anne, and today I'm going to talk to you about or show you how we put together our Anna Tote. Our Anna Tote is the largest kit in our range and it is awesome when it's made up. It holds so much stuff. But before we have a look and see what's inside, I'm just going to show you a couple that I have embellished before and things that you can do with them. This is one that has been made with stenciling in the background and then machine embroidery over the top. You can see that's front or the back, and I have the same on the other side. This one, the Anna Tote, is fantastic. So it's deceptive as to how much it holds. So when it's like this, it looks quite compact and neat, and there's the sides. But open it up and it really does hold a lot of things on the inside. It's unique in its construction in that we do have our eyelets already pre-punched in there, and our straps just sit through these big grommets. So that's one way. But this one, we've had lots of pieces of fabric just stitched down and then some applique over the top. And this one we have some applique over the top, and both times we have done the same on the other side, so it doesn't matter which way you pick up your bag. So let's have a look. Does that feel like Mary Poppins? Kind of. There we go. Let's have a look at what's inside. So we open it up. On our packagings, we do have some suggested ways of embellishing our kits on the back, and there is always more things on our Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest pages where you can check out more things that we have done there. So with our Anna Tote kit, we have this wonderful big piece of felt, which this kit gives you a really great surface of being able to do all different kinds of embellishing. And being one piece like that, it's, as I showed you before, you can stitch pieces of fabric down on there to make it really easy. So that's our front and back piece, and of course it has a zipper pocket already stitched in, as do all of our other bigger kits. We have our side gusset pieces, again with the grommets pre-punched. We have handles, and these are the handles that are made so that they just thread through the eyelets, which we'll do at the end. We have a magnetic closure, so we can snap it closed, and some pins and some needles as well, along with our instructions that show us how to put it all together. So our instructions. So that's everything that you get inside the kit. Now let's put it together. Okay. With our larger kits, when we unpack them, we often have creases in them because we need to fold them up in order to fit them into the smaller package. What I like to do is, depending on my embellishing, I would just iron those creases out, and generally from the wrong side, and you can tell the wrong side with the grommets, which way they're punched. I just use some spray starch and will spray the crease. So just spraying onto the crease there, and I use a dry iron and on the synthetic setting, and then I just iron those creases out. So I've actually made it quite wet, so now we're just wanting the felt to dry out, and that will then take away the crease, and then we'll be ready to start putting our Anna Tote together. Okay, to get started, the first thing that we're going to do is stitch on our magnetic closure, and that's it there. It does already have pre-punched holes in both sides, So you can stitch it on by hand if you prefer. Depending on how I've embellished or what I'm wanting to do, I will stitch it on one way or the other. Today I'm going to show you by machine, but keep in mind it doesn't matter which way that you want to do it. So in order to do this, we're just marking the center across the top. Mark that center and just pop a pin in there. That'll show us where the center is, and we will stitch on one side. I usually allow about 1 centimetre or 1/2 inch from the top when I'm stitching it on, and I will just pop a pin in here just to hold that in place. And today I'm going to use Wonderfil's designer thread. The colour that I like to use is colour 127. Designer is a polyester all-purpose thread, and I find that this colour in particular is the perfect match for our grey felt, and it works a treat. So polyester thread, it's strong, but it works really well. As I'm not trying to make a feature or highlight anything with our snap closure, I'm just using the designer thread on the top and the bottom of my machine, which means on this side you will hardly see the thread that's going to blend in. So the eyelets in the closure are quite close together, so I have experimented a little bit, and I find rather than actually trying to match up every single hole, it's easier just to stitch across the top of them. So I've changed my foot to be a zipper foot, and now I'm just going to stitch around. I am using designer thread, all-purpose polyester thread, and I'm just going to stitch around the closure. I have a stitch length again at 3, and we're just going around. Now with our bigger kits, I find it easier to maneuver them around if you just roll them up, and we can just tuck it around as we stitch here. So we go around, keep going around. There we are, back. Cut that off. So I'll do that for the other side, but that's one side of our closure all stitched on. So then do the same thing. Mark and pin on. Again, leaving about that 1 centimetre. And before I stitch this one, I'll just make sure that when I clip the two together, that they are even, that I don't have one side longer than the other, and this looks pretty good to me. So we will stitch it on again, and just doing exactly the same as we did for the other side. So if you're going to do it by hand, you can still do the same thing with using the thread that's going to blend in, or if you wanted to make a feature of it on the outside, you can do that as well and use a more decorative thread. Secure that, and that's all there is with stitching on our closure. Okay. So now we're going to stitch it together. I still have my zipper foot on, because I like to use the zipper foot still when we are going past the grommets or the eyelets that we have pre-punched. For this, I will still stick with a 3 stitch length, and we'll just start it off. With the zipper foot, I'm stitching it so I've got the edge of the zipper foot at the edge of my Anna Tote. So it's a good way of keeping it nice and even. If you wanted to do a smaller seam, of course you can. But I like to have the seams, because they are on the outside, to be a bit of a feature in a way. So we just stitch through. Just making sure everything is aligned up. Now the reason why we do it this way, so I've pinned the body of the Anna Tote onto the side gusset rather than the other way around, is so that when we go around the curves it's easier to fold it in. So that's something to always keep in mind. We're stitching the body onto the gusset, not the gusset onto the body. So then we come around here and get to the point at the end that creates our base, and we'll pivot a little bit there. Not super desperate if you don't do that, but just creates a little bit of a base for the Anna Tote. It's the way I have designed it. And you can see, fold that over, and we keep stitching around our base, and we're coming up to our other pivot point. There, and just pivot around. To the top. That is side 1 complete. You can see that's got that really nice rounded curve there. And we just repeat that for the other side. So exactly as we did before. We are coming to the end of the second side. There we have it. There is our Anna Tote all put together, and the handles are super easy. So they have been designed so that they go through the big eyelets or the grommets, and we're putting it through from the gusset side. So gusset side into the front, because this then becomes on the front of the tote. And you can adjust the length a little bit. If you put it on the second hole, it then will tuck up into the stay there. And that's all we do there. So same one around into the front too. So we're going through again the front and the side from the side panel. and a second hole from the top, and that's one side done. And voila, that is it. One Anna Tote. See the sides. So we can pop the closure.